What's going on, guys? We're back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It's Friday, February 3rd. I'm rolling with a traditional crew of mine, one that I hang out with often. This is going to be a wicked show. It's Smackdown Friday, and we're at a later time, guys, which is interesting and fun because we're backed up right against the WWE schedule. And it's no knock on them because we'll all be watching it afterwards. But we're gonna lead you guys right into that if you're rolling with us. Show starts, theirs does at 8 Eastern. But more importantly than that, I've got my super producer and co-host of the Republic Ramble, header reviewing Coby Galenzoski rolling with me today. How are you, my friend?
Doing solid. I'm making my return to the daily broadcast. We got a Smackdown preview, and there's some stuff to talk about. We got the Bloodline and what's the future of it, at least. I'm interested to talk about it.
Awesome. And second, but certainly not second at anything, I've got my buddy from Philly. While we may be at each other's throats for the next week, given my Chiefs are taking on his Eagles in the Super Bowl, head of opinions, Anthony Ricciardi. How are you, my friend?
Doing all right. It's been a long day, but I have some time to cover this stuff.
Good. It is a bit later for you too, so you've had 3 more hours than me. That's understandable for sure. But so let's get right into it. We've got a big Smackdown on deck, or do we? We're not really sure. Pre-show wise, we had kind of a funny discussion. We're not going to leak the whole thing into the show, but we were cracking up a bit about, is this going to be the most exciting Smackdown of the year? I think we're a little bit worried about it. The chair shot heard around the world. We will get into that. Sam Ireland, great to have you in the audience as usual. You're the man, Sammy. And yes, we will get into the chair shot heard around the world later. Absolutely. And what that means for tonight. But let's start with Bray Wyatt and Howdy. Let's start with a little tamer subject, unfortunately, because we got to jump through some Smackdown preview stuff here. I did just catch a bug with my hand. That was martial arts. I don't know if you guys saw that live on air. That I got the bug.
Very karate kid.
But yes, Wyatt and Howdy. What are the thoughts? Is Howdy still a thing? Is there a future for Bray Wyatt Howdy partnership? Why did Howdy sister Abigail Bray Wyatt when on the way to him wrestling LA Knight and then I guess sacrificing himself off the stage? I don't know. Let's start with you, Anthony. What are your thoughts on this?
Honestly, the whole Bray return, and I know I'm probably in the minority here. I don't care that much. Like, it's not the story to me is not really compelling. All the different characters and the whole Alexa Bliss, is she joining them? Is it? I should care and I want to care, but quite frankly, it's not a storyline that really interests me much. I'm not sure where it goes next. So I do appreciate the fact that it's not necessarily predictable, but just as a whole, I don't really know where you go with this because I'm really not sure what this story really is.
I hear where you're coming from there. Coby, you have thoughts on this one? How do you feel about like the future for Bray with the Howdy character and kind of what we've seen so far?
Well, see, I'm going to continue to sound like a broken record, and I'm going to say I don't think he's adding to the product. This is obviously a top contract for the WWE. He's bringing them money. He did the sponsorship with them. At the end of the day, I feel there's too many plot holes in this entire story. Like, why did he go from getting attacked, from attacking the camera angle to being attacked by Howdy, and then all of a sudden he's in the rocking chair? Like, there's a missing gap. It's like, I don't know why he's in that rocking chair. I don't know why he's brought it back again, and he was in it last week. At the end of the day, I don't know what's coming. I don't know if I'm interested in it. All I know is I hope LA Knight's out of this mess. I'm gonna call it a mess. But I hope LA Knight's out of this. He's either going to do something else or he's going to do whatever he wants. Hopefully, this wasn't his peak in terms of being a star in the company type of thing. And hopefully, he can have a better run, or if it's a mid-card title, or if it's just a better and a more important rivalry, at least. That's what I hope for LA Knight's future. But I 100% agree. I want to care, but I don't, because there's too many plot holes in this story.
Honestly, LA Knight, I was more interested in, and I think, I mean, I know there's the question, you know, he's with his older age. I think he's more compelling of a character, and he's the reason why I even had any interest in whatever Pitch Black was going to be leading up to it. Now, granted, that was a train wreck, but I think LA Knight's a more compelling character, and I'm hoping they do something with him. I'd rather see him going forward. Hell, I would put him in the U.S. title Elimination Chamber match. I'd give him something for trying to take the Bray Wyatt mess and try to make it relevant. I mean, that's what I would do personally.
So I guess just to kind of keep this back and forth, and Clark, you can come in after, because this is a question to Anthony. We really haven't seen you on the broadcast since last weekend, of course. But I want to know your thoughts on my statement. Well, yes, he was on yesterday as well. But okay, you didn't talk Rumble.
Different show.
You didn't talk Rumble though.
Different show.
Yeah, you didn't talk Rumble.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like I think I told you this over text, but I voiced my opinion that like I was expecting something for both that match as well as the Bliss Bianca match. But I want to know, I know you thought their expectations for those matches were low, but do you think they still limboed under it?
I didn't have much interest in the Bianca Bliss thing. I only because I am not crazy about the whole, you know, is she with Howdy? Is she with Bray? And it's like, we've seen this play out already, and it really wasn't compelling the first time around. So I'm not as excited with it. The Pitch Black match, just as a whole, I was curious what it would look like visually with the neon, kind of cool looking, but the match itself really wasn't spectacular. But I think it was mainly because going into it, you know, LA Knight's getting buried. Like you knew LA Knight was not going to win this, even though he was the only reason that I cared at all about whatever they were doing. So that hurt it to me. So quite frankly, my bar was incredibly low. I don't know if they went below it, but they at least met it. I really wasn't having much of an interest in that. I was interested in the Rumble matches. I was interested in the Roman KO match. Those were the ones I was interested in going into the show.
Definitely, but for tonight, I think obviously we got to focus on the future. We've got Howdy, and I'm with you on where you're coming from. I had problems with a lot of the way the initial return and the booking was. I don't know what the future of Howdy and Bray is. I do actually have interest, despite the way the final spot was, in what the Howdy character is and how he is related to Bray. I hope that there's a reveal for that. That's exciting. That is quality storytelling. But beyond that, I don't see much more for it personally. Let's move on to the next one, which is, of course, Braun Strowman and Ricochet versus Imperium Tag Team Tournament. Let's get our picks. Let's go down the line. Either way, we'll go Anthony first on this one. Who do you see winning this match? How do you think they stack up against the Usos based on your winner? And better yet, what do you think the finish of tonight's match looks like?
I mean, here's the thing. Whoever wins this going against the Usos, I kind of have a feeling they're not going to beat the Usos, just based on the rumors and speculation of who's supposed to face them at Mania. I just don't picture them dropping the title to, let's say, Braun and Ricochet for argument's sake. Or they're not going to do a three-way at Mania. So I would think Braun and Ricochet would win it, but maybe Solo would interfere and help the Usos retain, I guess. I assume that's where it's going to go. That would be my guess.
That would be the finish at the finish of the. And so, who was your pick to win tonight?
Honestly, I think it can go either way. But if you're going to go face first, heel with the Usos being the heel, I would go with Braun and Ricochet. Would be my guess.
Okay. So you're going to go with Braun and Ricochet tonight. How did they win the match tonight?
I would not be shocked if we see Sheamus and Drew play a role in the ultimate finish.
I really like that call.
Maybe a distraction or something that causes them to lose the match, because I think they're going to protect Imperium even if they lose. So I could totally see a distraction. Maybe, Drew and Sheamus come down, fight with Gunther, and it's probably going to be something along those lines would be my guess, but I could be completely wrong on that.
No worries. I do like the pick. Coby, I know you have thoughts on this. So we have Anthony has picked Ricochet and Braun. Do you have any other? Are you going to go Imperium, or how do you feel about
I was going to say, are you going to go Imperium so I can break the tie?
I was going to let you go first, and then I was going to hope to break the tie if you're going to go Imperium.
Well, I'm not. I'm not.
Oh, you're not going to go Imperium.
I'm not going to go Imperium because I kind of just look at it this way. At the end of the day, the title, they are treating the titles as different titles. So theoretically, you could go either way in the Uso match, but I don't see Imperium getting that win. I do see Braun Strowman and Ricochet getting the win. You can have Imperium work on Ricochet. Braun gets the hot tag. Do that. I could kind of see the finish be a power slam and a shooting star. Like you have potential for a nice combo there. There's a lot of stuff you can really do with Strongman and Athletic Man and Braun and Ricochet. But I almost kind of want to look at it this way: is this match can play such an effect or such a roadblock to the road to WrestleMania, because since it is for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships,
right?
Are they going to treat the eventual Mania matches for both, or would that match be only for the Raw titles? Which I think it could be, because you could have the Usos lose another, and you have a real reason for them to figure shit out. And that's going to be Roman Reigns saying, figure this out. You are the Usos, you're my twins, blah, blah, blah. I do think they could take the loss to Braun and Ricochet, have the titles go separate ways, and then the Usos can eventually get on the same page for WrestleMania.
What would be the logic, though, of KO and Sammy challenging for the Raw titles when they're technically SmackDown talent?
Kevin's a Raw talent.
But Sammy SmackDown.
Kevin's a Raw talent. Yes, Sammy SmackDown. But you would go, okay, would the logic be, they would go to Braun and Ricochet? I mean, the storyline sells itself. You technically don't need the gold on an Usos versus Kevin Sammy match. You don't.
No, I think you do. Revenge taking the belts off of them. If you're going to dismantle the Bloodline, the goal would be to make sure they lose all the gold. And I would not be surprised if Sammy and KO partner up with Cody to ensure that the Bloodline is goldless come the close of Mania. That would be my
which they'd have one belt.
All right. So anyway, my thoughts on tonight's match is that here's what I think. I'm going to go with Imperium because given the nature of the current storyline with Jimmy and Jay, while they've been teaming together and the Bloodline is happening, Jay is clearly having issues with the Bloodline. It's an interesting time to have a team like Imperium challenge for those belts. I don't think it necessarily has to be a babyface like we thought going in. As much as I like what Braun and Ricochet have done, I think the nature of the beast is that at this point, it makes a bunch of sense to put the belts on Imperium. And I'm going to go with with those two. I don't necessarily know where they go from there, but we definitely have more of tonight's card to cover. And so from there, I'm going to go with Charlotte and Sonya. And I want to get you guys' thoughts on that match. We've definitely covered in the past Sonya Deville's losing streak. Although she did have an outstanding performance in the Rumble. We saw the gash she took over her eyebrow. Do you think there's any chance that this is a solid bell-to-bell match? Hopefully, maybe, in a way that could make Sonya look better for the future, given we probably already know the results. Coby, what are your thoughts on this one?
So, because that's the thing, and I'm sure I've said this on the broadcast already. I saw the star in Sonya Deville after the 2020 rivalry of her and Mandy Rose. I was all for her winning the Royal Rumble. I was all for her coming back because I thought she was a tremendous talent for her promos during that feud, and then just overall being able to perform in such a shitty situation. To me, I think Sonya Deville can work whether or not you end up putting her in a faction, if she takes over for Toxic, or like in some form. I think there is a future you can use Sonya Deville. I think they are I think Charlotte in this position is doing better than what Ronda was doing, because you can kind of make the argument as well. Well, Ronda was in a feud with Shotzi and Raquel, and Raquel did get some heat and some steam as a babyface in that position. But I think Charlotte Flair's the better person to elevate a talent like a Sonya Deville, like a Liv Morgan, like a Rhea Ripley, like she did years ago. I do think Charlotte is going to win the match. I don't think Sonya is going to have get the big win yet. I don't know if that's going to be a future storyline of, oh, she can't win. What's happening? Is that a way to turn her face? I don't know. I don't think it is. I mean, you could really go either way with a losing streak like they did with Kurt Hawkins years ago. But overall, I think it could be a good enough match. Charlotte's a great worker. I think they might have better chemistry than Sonya and Bianca had, because that match was not entertaining at all for Raw 30. I do think it'll be a better match than that, but who knows?
Absolutely, and I hear where you're coming from. It's funny, we've talked about, like, I'm a big fan of, Sonya Deville, and I'm a big fan of Charlotte as well. I don't know that Sonya is in a position where she can possibly challenge her, but it's just nice to see her in a big televised match. You know what I mean? At this point, just to salvage, we know about the losing streak, right? We've discussed it on this very show. I would just like to see her at least be threatening tonight in a way where maybe there's somehow they can turn you through bell-to-bell storytelling. That to me, I think, would be something that would make this all sort of worth it in the long run. But Anthony, I want to get your thoughts as well on the match.
I mean, I think they're both talented enough to put together at least a decent match, assuming they're given the right amount of time. Charlotte can definitely get a better match out of people, than most. But like realistically, we already know Rhea's already challenged her for Mania. They're not going to switch it up of going, well, now it's Sonya, so Sonya against Rhea. They're not doing that. That was the one thing with Rhea announcing on Raw that she's like, I'm challenging Charlotte. I think that hurt this match more from a standpoint. You're going, well, all right, well, that's already set. You've already told me who wins this match, essentially, that Charlotte's going to retain because it's the big money match. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you would have waited to have Rhea announce it on this week's Raw after this match, I think that would have been the smarter play, personally.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to quantify with Sonya not winning anything. How can you justify her challenging for any title, no matter who's the champion, right? And that's, I think, what it comes down to. So let's move along to the next topic, which is
Joe. Just before we move along,
one more, Coby. You got one more?
I do want to say something that's coming up. Oh, not Anthony. Coming up onto the fly, based on what Anthony brought up, was the interest of her announcing the match. And I know, like, that's the thing. I've been a fan for, as of this point, this summer will be 12 years. Anthony's going to have probably double that. I would say at least, yeah, exactly, pretty much double that. At the end of the day, I want to know, as someone who has seen a lot of builds to WrestleMania, and I know this doesn't affect because of the WrestleMania match being Cody and Roman, because there's only one world title. But in terms of the women's championship, do you think it's a more effective way for them to have them announce it very close to the Rumble, or almost sit on that, like, I can challenge either champion, I can sit here, I can play with it, have Rhea show up backstage watching Charlotte Flair? Do you think from a storyline, I guess there's two standpoints. Do you think from a storyline standpoint that that's more effective to wait to announce? And do you think it's better for business to announce early?
What I would have done here, obviously, Cody has to challenge Roman, which I honestly, I like that match personally. I think it's a great story. Cody's trying to avenge, trying to achieve the thing that his father was denied. I love that story. For personal reasons, I love that story. For this situation, because they pre-announced that Charlotte was going to defend against Sonya last week, I would have drugged this out because I think Rhea as a heel, the way her character is now, I would have loved if she taunts Bianca, she taunts Charlotte. Hell, you could have her on NXT taunting Roxanne. I think you could have dragged that out a couple weeks before she officially decreed. And again, that would have protected the match tonight, where it's not, okay, now, I mean, it would have been predictable beforehand. Like, they're probably not going to have Charlotte drop the Sonya realistically on the road to WrestleMania. But it's so telegraphed tonight because we know the Rhea aspect to it. I mean, unless they turn around and Rhea went, I've changed my mind, I'm going to face Bianca now, which I don't think they would do. But I mean, I think if Sonya wins, she may change it to Bianca because that's obviously the bigger match. But I would have drugged this one out personally because I think you could have had some fun with it.
For sure.
I do.
And once again, so Coby, we're previewing tonight, not the next 3 months. So
right.
So let's stick with the topics on hand for sure. No, I'm totally with you, and we'll do that on shows where those are the topics. But as of right now, we're gonna go with the biggest storyline in professional wrestling, which is the Bloodline and Sami Zayn and what's going on with Roman Reigns and all of that. And look, we all watched the Rumble. It was amazing. It was awesome. It was as good as they come. The finish, the turn, not the honorary Uso anymore. There's no more Sami Uso. It's Sami Zayn. And so personally, on first watch, I had other thoughts on the Rumble. On second watch, dang, man, it's one of the best storylines in wrestling in 20 years. It's one of the best storylines I've seen in not just wrestling, but like television almost. It's so perfect the way that they've intertwined every member of the Bloodline and everything. Now, we can quantify all of that all we want, but tonight, I don't really know what they're going to do. Roman's going to address the Bloodline. I'm assuming Jey Uso will be in that lineup personally, and I'm assuming a lot of the talk is going to be directed towards Jey Uso. I want to know what you guys think Roman's strategy is, what you think Jay's strategy is, and how you think this affects the next few weeks going into Elimination Chamber. So, Anthony, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. I mean, here's the thing with the Bloodline storyline, and we've talked about this before, but it really has been the best storyline in wrestling. And looking back in all the years I've been watching, this may be one of the best long-term stories that they've ever done, because none of it has been predictable. At no point, just when you think, oh, they're going to turn on Sammy, no, they turn around and give him an honorary youth shirt. At the Rumble, that was a solid storytelling. I think it was, and I could be wrong, wasn't the number 20 million times that video was viewed like the night after? Like, I think it said Monday, it was like 20 million times the term. Now, that's probably non-wrestling fans too, because they're like, oh no, you need to see this. I personally think, and I said this to you, Clark, before we went on air, I don't think we see Sammy or KO tonight. I think you sell the beatdown. I think you need to keep them off. I think as far as Jey Uso, I think he gets called out by Roman. I think it's going to be Roman, Solo, and Heyman in the ring. Roman talking about it. Oh, and Jimmy. Jimmy will be in the ring too.
Right.
He's going to call Jey out. I kind of have a feeling Jay's going to acknowledge the tribal chief, because I do think he sticks around in the bloodline longer, especially since he's holding the tag titles with his brother. I think the bloodline explodes and is after Mania. After what happens at Mania, I think Roman will take off till at least SummerSlam. I think Roman will be off of TV for extended period of time, considering how he's carried the company for 3 years, or close to 3 years as the guy. The dude's going to take a break. That's my honest guess. But I think tonight, I think the focus is going to be Jey. I as much as KO and Sammy, I just don't think. Let me put it this way: I think it would be a mistake if Sammy and KO were on it, especially considering the beatdown they got. I would keep them off personally. I don't know if you guys agree, but that's what I would do.
And that makes a ton of sense. Coby, I was going to ask your thoughts. But more importantly, Coby, what I wanted to mostly ask you about too, involving this storyline, because to Anthony's point, do you think Jey is going to be the target of Roman's promo tonight? Or do you think he maybe weirdly overlooks that almost in the same way that he was attempting to in the first place on Sammy? Not to undercut you there on Anthony, because we'll get back to you on this one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering if Roman may undercut it and not even mention it, not bring it up. And I wonder if that speaks volumes. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Coby? Give me your prediction first, then we'll go around the horn.
Yeah. So so that's the thing. I do think it's interesting that Roman Reigns is addressing the bloodline. He said it in the final scenes of the show. We are going to war now, Solo. Or we're not taking any prisoners. I think this is the most dangerous we're going to see Roman Reigns tonight. We're going to see someone who's going to be cold and calculated. It's going to be a shell of the bloodline. I don't think Jey Uso's out there until he's out there. Whether they if their kickoff, whether they show them arriving and Heyman's like, Jey Uso, stay back, sit here. Roman doesn't want to see you right now. Whether or not they end the show with that, I think they should end the show with this segment of Roman Reigns. But I still think they need to sell the idea of Jey Uso walked out. He is verbally saying on social media, I'm out of the bloodline. If you want to say he backtracks, maybe. I don't think he does. But I do want to kind of add to what Anthony said. And I think the move at least should be to keep them off TV. But I'm looking at it as, look at the amount of Smackdowns we even have. unless he returns the night before the Chamber, we have 3 Smackdowns, and I think it's a matter of like, yes, it makes sense. He took the beating. He should be off TV, but I don't know internally if he does because of the limited build for this pay-per-view.
Yeah, but I don't think they have that problem, Cobe, because it's such a hot story. Do you really need them on? Like, people want to see Sammy get his revenge. People want to see KO get his revenge. People want to see the revenge. So dragging it out, even if they popped up, a week before a week before the Chamber and build it with 2 weeks, you could do that. I don't think it's a problem. I do think when the Bloodline arrives, if they show them backstage with the SUVs, Jay's not going to be with them. I think they're going to play it up that Jay left on Saturday and no one's been able to get a hold of him all week. I think that's how they're going to play it. When Jay comes out, I would have him – he can't come out to any music. He should just come out, no merch, just, straight black shirt or something like that. And Roman's going to take out his anger on Jay because Jay's the one that's there. KO and Sammy are not. He's going to demand an explanation. Like, I think that's going to be the focus tonight. Like I said, if they bring in KO and Sammy, it's essentially, in a lot of ways, no selling that insane beatdown that they received at the Rumble just 6 days ago.
Right.
So why put them on it? Why do they need to be on tonight's episode?
So I will say this.
That would make my question to you guys.
I'll say this as not a retort. I'm going to jump in here, and this isn't even a retort to yours, Anthony, but I did have an idea while we're out here fancy booking.
Yes.
And I love the focus on tonight and how they're handling tonight. And I do agree with you on, logically speaking, it makes a heck of a lot of sense to keep Sammy and Kevin away.
Yes.
I do think that there is a fascinating opportunity to potentially have a backstage segment maybe before the talk with the Bloodline. If Jay were to arrive separately and maybe a hooded figure, we've seen Sammy wear a hoodie in the past, early and maybe a handshake and maybe a thank you from a Sami Zayn, in the hallway as an early show backstage quick segment, I wouldn't have an issue with. Other than that, keep him away from the building. Maybe a heavily bruised, heavily made up in that sense. Sami Zayn, I wouldn't have an issue with that. That's about the only way I want to see him in the building, though, because that alliance would be interesting. The 3 of them against Jimmy and Solo and Roman is a legitimate 6-man match.
I could totally see them, quite frankly, if you're doing a KO and Sammy return, like I said, I wouldn't do it tonight, but going back to kind of what we said before, I kind of had a thought. If Ricochet and Braun win this #1 contendership, what if KO and Sammy come back and interfere in that match to cost them one of their tag titles?
See, Anthony, I think we're teaming KO and Sammy together far too soon. Why are they friends again? They just disagreed, and Sammy didn't do anything for KO other than hit Reigns with a chair and not KO.
But
he didn't do anything to save him along the way. There's no reason for them to just jump back in as a tag team. I think we're skipping steps.
The one major thing is the fact that we all know, and they've advertised this, and we all know KO and Sammy are legit like brothers outside the ring. Brothers fight. How many times have they feuded? And they've been.
We know that though, but the average fan does not know that. And
from a storyline standpoint, if the enemy of my enemy is my friend, they have each other's back. They know each other to the point where they're like, no, the real enemy here is the Bloodline. Whatever personal issues we have with each other, we could deal with it after. I do think the target is the Bloodline. I mean, you could do interviews after. Let's say the initial return is them costing the Usos.
Yeah.
Then you could do the following week like a sit-down interview, like Pat McAfee interviewing KO and Sammy. why did you guys get back to, like, I mean, I think there's pieces you could do. Like, I agree with you. Like, typically you wouldn't just go straight, they're friends now.
Right.
But at the same point, if you could put the pieces together along the way, which I think KO and Sammy, there's enough there that it's not a stretch. It's not, and this is one of your favorites, it's not a damage control situation where there's just three random people together.
Right.
There's
a reason.
There's a backstory. There's a story to it.
Yeah, there's an inherent reason.
You could run with this one as opposed to that other one that, we always enjoy making fun of.
Absolutely. And to add to that, I would say for sure that, I mean, as far as, the amount of stuff you have to do storytelling wise to keep KO and Sammy as a team, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't great, but I just do want to actually see that plot hole be filled. I want to see a reason, and beyond just we know they're friends off camera, right? Mm-hmm. And all of that. Oh, he did it. No, Sammy did it because he was tired of being. He proved himself to Roman Reigns. That's why he turned on Roman Reigns, not because he's friends with Kevin Owens. That's not the story they told, right? And not, at least in my eyes, they did not tell the story that he had mercy on Kevin Owens. He had no mercy on Kevin Owens.
No, he had mercy on Kevin.
Yes,
he did.
He got in the way.
He was the one stopping Roman.
Whoa, stop interrupting me and let me hear me out. He absolutely did not have mercy on Kevin Owens. He could have stopped multiple bloodline beatdowns of Kevin Owens well before the chair shot. He hit Roman Reigns with a chair in the back because he was tired of having to prove himself to Roman Reigns, not because of his loyalty to Kevin Owens.
It was both.
Not at all.
It was both.
That's easy to speculate.
It's easy to speculate, but what did he say?
Oh, whoa. That's easy to speculate. He hit Roman Reigns in the back when Roman said, "Prove it to me again."
He was sick
of being asked to be told. Whoa. He was sick of being asked to be told what to do and to prove himself to Roman Reigns. He had proven himself. He had done it numerous times in War Games and everything that added up to it.
Clark,
he did not turn on. Hey! I think you saw it one way. You saw it one way.
I think it's a combination of both.
It's totally
I think it's
fine.
Loyalty to KO, and I think it's enough of Roman. I think it was both, personally.
Yeah. And that's great. That's great. I get it. You're a lifelong KO fan and all of that. And outside of, if we get rid of kayfabe, we all know Sammy and KO are best buddies. But that's not what we're talking about. The story they told. Sami Zayn was not going to bat for his buddy Kevin Owens. No. He'd have done that a long time ago. If you go back and watch week to week, he would have stood up for Kevin Owens a long time ago.
I agree with
that. Were the deal.
If you go
back, so I need them to connect that dot because Sammy got tired of being told to prove himself. Clark. That was all the promos he cut about.
Listen,
you got to stop interrupting me, man.
I mean,
you seriously, you got to stop
going
that.
For 2 minutes.
But that's totally fine. If that's okay. So then, you know what? I'll give you guys the time there. Roman Reigns absolutely pressured Sami Zayn into hitting him in the back with a chair. I wouldn't say it was to stick up for Kevin Owens, but that's just my personal opinion. And Coby, if you'd like to go and give us more on the time, let me know.
Well, okay, so yeah, since we are kind of sticking to 45, we have about 5 minutes left. But I want to talk about. I do want to talk about what fully happened in that thing, because Sami Zayn was the one to say, "Roman, you're above this," because this was the first time Kevin Owens' career was actually threatened, and in this position of. He's beat up. He's not gonna. He can't fight back. And Sammy was there, like, "Hey, you're fine." He didn't outright say we need to end his career, or don't end his career. He said, "You're fine. Let's let him be. We made our statement." and then Roman was going to make him do it. I agree that was part of the reason is Jey Uso saw Roman Reigns abusing Sami in a similar way, and Sami Zayn ended up not cracking under pressure. But I think it is both at the end of the day. And I think Anthony can very much agree.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing. He stepped in front of KO and said, that's enough. Or you're above this. Like Coby said. To me, that's at that point, he had enough of the whole thing. Both KO getting beat down, and then when Roman pushed him, that was his snapping point of I'm done with this group. KO was probably right that they are just using me. That was kind of the impression that I got from watching it. I'm sure we'll be told more, as the story goes, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess just to kind of go off some comments we got, we kind of have, I don't want to say these are rumors, but is Solo going to betray Roman? I don't think we believe that in the slightest. Is Jay going to night with Sami and KO? Maybe
not
briefly. Not tonight at all. Not tonight at all, no. Jason Finch says Sami Zayn should go back to the Bloodline. It'd be interesting to see Roman Reigns, I don't want to say backtrack once again, but to say, okay, you proved it. You did the move you wanted to do.
I don't think you do what you did at the Rumble to suddenly go, nah, never mind. Like I just don't see that. I mean, what do you think, Clark? I mean, I don't see them doing that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I loved for the entertainment value, Sami Zayn in the Bloodline. Like, that's kind of a throwaway comment to me. Like, no, he's not going back to the Bloodline. It makes no sense. They ripped the shirt off of him. It's over. He got his butt kicked. It happened. It's over and done with. Yeah, I mean, that's yeah.
And then we do have Cody Rhodes breathing down Roman's neck at the end of the day. And if he plays
it'd be amazing. By the way, if we got to see Cody Rhodes, actually have an encounter with Roman Reigns, I'd be interested. At this point, for me, we haven't seen Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns in a ring together one time, never, not even once.
Yeah, we did.
Not even.
Yeah,
we got to see him.
The Shield versus the Rhodes brothers.
No.
He's never faced him one-on-one.
I'm sorry.
One-on-one, he's never faced him.
I meant blonde Cody Rhodes.
The American Nightmare Cody.
Yeah, no, we've never seen Cody Rhodes with blonde hair. The Cody Rhodes before Stardust, Cody with Mustache Mountain, whatever the heck he was before, with his mask and all that shit. No. That's not the same Cody Rhodes, obviously, that we're seeing now. At least not in my eyes, because there was no feelings for legacy. Cody Rhodes was a throwaway character. He was a nobody. Legacy Cody Rhodes was as good as Ted DiBiase Jr., and there's a reason he's not in the business. They were that entertaining.
I think we could see at some point, it would not shock me, whether it's on a Raw or SmackDown. I wouldn't be shocked if they do a 6-man tag, the Usos and Roman against Cody, KO, and Sami in a build-up to Mania. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be a clean finish, but it's not like they haven't done that type of stuff before.
I mean, they've only got the 2 months to build this rivalry, so it's like it's one of those things where, we got to see them in there together talking, and I don't know how many appearances Roman will see out of him between now and Mania, but we're gonna have to see more.
Well,
especially if they're gonna build this rivalry, it's we're gonna have to see Roman and Cody at some point. Maybe that's tonight. Well, let's hope. We can only hope. SmackDown tonight and everything, and at the end of the day, that is kind of like what everything is gearing up towards, given Cody being the Rumble winner, but we're going to have to see how everything plays out with the Bloodline storyline. But that's today's show for sure, guys. It's been a good one. Absolutely. Thank you from Wrestling Republic. And we'll be back tomorrow at 8 in Britain GMT, I believe, and then or GBT, and then noon Pacific, 9 Hawaiian. Same time, same place. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much.
Peace.